marvelous makers
and art appreciators,
and welcome to the ArtSpace podcast,
brought to you by Lemon Street Gallery and ArtSpace,
located at 4601 Sheridan Road.
Stop on by to our favorite citrus-themed art gallery.
And I am your host, Shelby Nesmith.
And I'm Jake Hoy.
And today we have the lovely, lovely Aliyah Jackson with us today, who is a published poet. She had just recently released her full-length poetry collection called Planting Gardens on the Moon. So yeah, we have Aliyah with us.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So getting into the questions right away, what got you into creating poetry?
I just feel like it just started happening naturally. Like I've been writing since I was a kid, to be honest. I was about like 11 or 12 when I started just like writing stuff in a journal. You know, I was reading a lot too. I was thinking maybe I want to like write my own fiction stories one day. I always knew that I wanted to be an author, that I like wanted to write. I didn't know what it was though. I was like, well, maybe I'll do like stories or something.
Yeah.
I didn't know it'd end up being poetry, but I can still do fiction, I guess, maybe later on in life if I felt like it.
No rules.
But
No
yeah,
rules.
No rules.
exactly.
I mean,
So-
author's a pretty broad subject. I mean, we've had Donovan Shearer on, who's also an author, and so I would say it's quite a bit different from what you do, but they're both authors, both awesome.
Both self-published.
Right. Yeah, none of my like short stories or anything that's like fiction that I've never like released it or shown anyone, funny enough, but
But you have them.
I do. Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll see them.
Maybe.
Ooh, the unreleased. So you tend to write in like the form of haikus. Is there a specific reason why you kind of fell into that structure? Like something that drew you to that structure?
I wish I had better answers to some of these.
Okay.
There really is no like rhyme or reason
Sometimes the answer is no.
Yeah.
There's really no rhyme or reason for why I started writing that way. It's just when I got back into writing around like 2017, fall or winter of that year, I was going through a lot, and so I started writing again because I'd kind of taken a break. And for some reason one day I just started like writing poems, but like in the form of haiku, so like the 575 syllable count. I think maybe I was just doing it for fun at first, like, oh, like let me see if I can just write some stuff and it follows the form. But then after a while, like I was just writing things, and then it would just be that way without me even trying. So I'm like, that's kind of crazy. It's like
you were
after-
meant to do it.
right, yeah.
It is a fun format to do. I don't know if everybody has, but I certainly have gone like, how does this work? It's almost like a puzzle when you're first
Yeah.
doing it, but then you do it so much, it becomes like second nature.
It's funny that you say that. It's like it feels like there's a puzzle in my head, and then when I write it out and it's like a perfect haiku, I feel like I've solved a puzzle. Like that's what it feels like. I'm like, oh, like yes, that's it.
It found the missing piece.
There's like a satisfaction for sure. So,
Do you ever go like, what's a 3-syllable word for no?
oh yeah, the thesaurus is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every poet's best friend, but like I'm always looking up like, what's a synonym for this word that would actually fit the syllable count? Yeah, I do that.
Negative.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you better get writing poetry, Jake, because you just...
Okay, I have a confession to make here. I saved this for the podcast. I am actually a published poet. Kind of.
What?
In I want to say 6th grade. Maybe this isn't a thing anymore. I'm very old. We've been over this on previous episodes. My age starts with a 3, and I'm not 3 years old. When I was in 6th grade, there was like a poetry contest, and whoever won, I don't know if it was the winner or like the top 10 or something, would be like in this big, huge collection of like the best poets of southeastern Wisconsin, and in 4th through 6th grade or something like that.
Dang.
I think it's like just a scam to get you to buy this book because the book was like $30, which was a lot back then. And I don't know. So technically I have like one little poem in there. It's about wind.
Oh.
And I don't know if you know, Aliyah, but I'm a meteorologist now, so it's fitting. But
Yes, full circle. Life
Do you
comes full
have the
circle.
book that you wrote?
I do. Yeah. I think
Nice.
yeah, I should have brought it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is. It's in my mom's basement. But yeah, it's the poem is called Wind, but
Aw.
I am far from a real poet.
But what constitutes a real poet? You know what I mean?
I
If
just
you
know that
want to
I'm not
call
one.
yourself a poet, like
Yeah.
nothing is stopping you from being a poet. You know?
There you go. Yeah.
You write in some form of sentence structure, and there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bada
But
bing, bada boom.
haven't done it for 20 years. Oh man, I'm old.
I'm not big on the gatekeeping of like
Yeah,
thing.
no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just how I am. It's just like if you think
If
that
you
you're
feel-
something, it's then yeah.
We've had a lot of those discussions
Yeah.
over the past couple episodes. What is art? You know, what is an artist? You know, so I've been learning more and more that it's whoever considers themselves an artist. So
Yeah. It's up to the person to receive that title. If they want to give themselves it,
Right.
go right ahead.
yeah,
Gold star to them.
Right. Honestly, and aside to that too, to kind of continue this, but like there are forms of poetry like blackout poetry, or I forget the name of it, but it's like you just cut out words from like a magazine or something, and then you just kind of like
That is really
make
cool.
poetry from words that are already there.
wow.
And it's like that's not even your own original like words, but you can like
Make
that's a form of poetry.
That's
Is like
cool.
taking other people's words or other things and
Yeah.
turning it into something else.
that is
Like-
so neat.
It's like a
So-
ransom note, but good.
yeah.
Yeah, Jake. Yeah.
And that's
Just
like a
that.
legitimate form of poetry.
Yeah.
So
No, that sounds really cool. I can picture it now that you mention it, and I could see that being really cool.
And pairing it with the visuals with like collage, because a lot of poetry tends to
Yeah.
pair with visuals and stuff. So
yeah.
that could be so fun. Oh my goodness. We got to get a class on that or something. Idea.
Ooh,
There we
Right.
go.
Put a pin in that.
Yes, definitely. Because that would be a lot of fun.
Or integrating poetry and words into art.
Yeah,
that'd
with
be
Get
cool.
the
collage.
visual and non-visual meeting up.
Yeah.
Synergy.
Yeah. Since we've been speaking about kind of your art, what is your earliest memory that you have with art, whether that be like writing or visual art or anything like that? Because I know you're inclined to visual art as well.
Yes, I thought about this question, and I feel like my earliest memory, just like of anyone else, it's like when you're a kid, it's like you're watching cartoons, which animation is obviously
Oh,
an
for
art,
sure.
film,
Yeah.
stuff that we watch, television. I think like that's probably my earliest introduction into things.
What were some of your favorite cartoons?
I would say I used to like Barney. That's not a cartoon, but
It feels like a cartoon.
Yeah,
It's a
Powerpuff
production.
Girls.
Oh,
I used to
Powerpuff
love
Girls.
that one.
Are
All
you
the Cartoon
team?
Network.
Are you
Yeah.
team Bubbles, team Blossom, or team Buttercup?
I used to really like Blossom.
Okay.
She was kind of like
The
the
leader.
middle but like the middle ground of like the mean one, and then like the Bubbles character that
The
was like
emotional
really
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
yeah. I feel like she was a good like medium, you know.
I just wanted to show off that I knew all their names.
Oh, cute.
Thank you for answering.
Yeah.
I was team Mojo Jojo.
Of course. I'm all about him.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I love
All
that
the people that
character.
don't know Powerpuff Girls are so
Oh, they're so lost right now, but that's okay. They can be lost.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, cartoons. Definitely, I consider that art. You know,
Yes.
we've seen some
Yeah.
amazing stuff. It would be great to have a cartoonist on at some point.
Oh,
Well,
Yes.
does Donovan count?
He's done short.
Not like video. I don't know what's the term for that. Animation.
Yeah, animation.
Maybe, yeah.
He's done smaller
Oh, yeah, he has, though,
things,
yeah.
I think. But if we had like a full length
Yeah,
animation,
it'd be great to have
artist-
another cartoonist
Yes.
on.
That man does so much that I can't keep track of what he does. You saw how I introduced him. I said, I don't know. He does a
didn't-
lot.
You didn't flub that intro either. You do great.
But yeah, cartoons have been a touchstone for a lot of people, and when they start getting inspired with art or their earliest memory for art. So
Hmm
it's really cool.
Definitely.
Weird how those things can just everyday things can kind of just inspire and start things. So.
I felt the need to answer that like very honestly, but then it's like my second kind of follow-up answer to that question was my introduction and like when I really started to enjoy like conventional art was when I was in college. I think it was right before I started interning here, but I had like started taking like some art classes in college and I like really loved that. Like I took like an African American like history like art class that I really liked. I started going to museums like by my college. And so like that like kind of was the beginning for me. And then like also learning about how like art is, political or it's used to like convey certain feelings or emotions or human experiences that maybe the artist couldn't articulate for whatever reason,
Oh, for sure.
just verbally or just in life, they put it in the art. And I think that that's also very powerful, especially obviously as a Black woman. It's like to look at, my history, and then like Black artists of the past and like the messages and the things that they put in their art. And me thinking like they probably weren't really able to express this in their real life.
Right.
So
That's very poignant.
Yes.
Yeah. And important. I mean,
yes.
as humans, art is vital. I mean, it's one of the earliest things we see, cave paintings and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's just primal, right?
it's a way to communicate.
Yeah.
Yes. And you gotta love those special topics classes from in our history. That is a Doug Singson. He would teach those at UW Parkside. I don't know if he still is. I think he still is, but yeah, he'd I think he would try at least every 2 years try and get that African American art history course going because it's so important to know where that comes from and to celebrate it and support it as much as possible. So, speaking of that, is there any influences to your art? Is there a person? Is there a specific subject matter that really influences you?
So I don't actually know of any other poets that write like me, to be honest. I don't know where it came from, like the way my style. Like I don't want to say I invented it, but I definitely don't know anyone else that does what I do.
You're an original.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't say that I saw anyone else doing it and then I was inspired by it. I just kind of started doing it and I'm like, well, this is technically not in a haiku because the definition of a haiku means that it's like about nature or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So like all haikus are supposed to be about nature. Like that's what
Interesting.
constitutes a haiku. Not only the syllable count, but that it's about nature. And I'm like, well, not all of my stuff is like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess some purists could maybe argue that what I do is not really a haiku, but whatever.
You put the title on what you're making.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically you took you saw an absence of something and that kind of influenced you to go down your own path, keep working. So
Yeah, it's a good point. Sometimes an influence can be seeing something and going, yeah, but I would do it this way, maybe.
Right.
the absence of something
Right.
as that's interesting to think about.
Yeah, and like for a while, once I started writing in that format, I'm like, I don't know if this is right. Like, no one else is doing this. Like, maybe it's just a little too weird. I definitely started to have like those doubts about it, and just like, I don't know, like this is just a little too out there. Like I would say those things to myself. So I'm just like, well, maybe I'll just keep it to myself. Maybe this is stupid,
No.
But yeah, people seem to enjoy it. So.
Yeah.
We
And
need
that's-
stuff like that, a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and another reoccurring kind of subject that we talk about is don't make and just hide it away. Like get it out there, let it be seen. Let's have conversations and don't squirrel your beautiful art away. So
Agreed. The vulnerability though that comes with
Yes.
sharing,
Oh,
it's very tough,
yeah.
and a lot of people are just not ready to take that leap sometimes. It took me a few years from like actually writing, like actively writing, to like actually publishing something. It was like 3 years. Like I started in 2017, and then in July of 2020 is when I released Life in Solitude. So like that's a stretch of time where I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
like I'll just keep this to myself and to my writers group that I was a part of. Like,
Aw.
I would share it with like a few of them,
Mhm.
you know, for critiques and stuff, because that's what
It's
we do in the
important.
group.
Yeah.
But like putting it out there, like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
I'd
man.
never thought.
Nerve-wracking. Yeah. Oh, I can definitely vibe with that.
Yeah.
When we first put our podcast out, I was a little bit like,
Oh
no.
yeah, that
Oh, my
fear.
Here it goes. Click.
What if it's awful? What if people hate it? And
But we realized we need to do it for ourselves. We
Yes.
need
There
to
comes
do
a
this
point,
thing.
you
Yes.
know, where it's time.
Yes.
right, and if you're doing it because you love it, then you don't care about that other stuff or
Yeah.
you know, other opinions or like, you know.
Definitely.
But if you do have any suggestions for us, let us know.
Yes.
Email us at theartspacepod@gmail.com.
Let us know if we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, correct me, please.
And then really putting yourself out there, I think with poetry, that's a big thing, because you're using just words to convey your emotions, whereas sometimes people can hide those emotions through visual art, but with poetry, you're saying it.
It's my feelings, it's me, it's super personal, and for sure, like, I'm not the most vulnerable or like personal person in my life, like in my personal life. So it's like for me of all people to be sharing in that way was definitely like, I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, we applaud you for
Yeah.
that big step, because it's just getting it out there, and we see that it is a lot of work to get stuff out there.
Right. How do you feel about like getting feedback from people? Like, I know some people we've talked to have like they thrive on that. They need that, whether it's positive or negative, as long as it's not, really
That
bad.
it's valid,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
that's nice.
Then there's other people that are like, this is my art. This is what I do. Take it or leave it.
I enjoy feedback, actually, positive or negative. I wish that people would leave more reviews on my stuff, actually.
Yeah.
And even if you didn't like it, leave a review. Like, please
Right.
leave an honest one that's not just like, oh, 5 stars, loved it. Like,
Yeah.
I want some honesty.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people aren't like, are afraid to be honest, especially if they didn't like it.
Yeah.
So usually I get people saying that they enjoy my work or
Mm-hmm.
that they think it's cool. You know what I mean? Which is great.
Yeah.
But it's like, where are the people that don't like it? Like, tell me that. Like, tell me that too. You know? I just want to hear some honesty.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be because you're being so honest and putting yourself out there. People don't want to tear that down. They see it as a point of possibly tearing you down, but
Yeah.
That's a good point.
but reassuring them, like, I need the negative to build up and go further. So letting
Yeah.
people, leave good comments, bad comments. We'll
I
take whatever
enjoy
comes.
feedback. And
Yeah.
I think me being part of a writers group for a while, that kind of maybe helped with like me getting used to like criticism, because again, like my work was like being critiqued on a weekly basis by people, and it's like they were honest. They would tell me like, hey, this isn't really working for me, or like you might want to change this. And it's like I've had moments where I've been super attached to a poem, like this is my baby, like I think this is just so perfect, and then someone else comes with like, like I don't know,
Aw.
so I'm used to that.
Yeah.
So I think that me being a part of that group actually really was a great thing for me in my writing. So
Definitely.
yeah.
You need critiques to be better.
And then like once you start publishing, it's like, well, I've had editors like working on my stuff, and it's like, well, they might not like every little thing, or they might want to make some changes. So it's like, and this is what they do for a living. So who am I to just say like what's your opinion mean? So I've learned to like take the criticism, be like, is this valid? Could I make some changes?
Yeah. Editors are important too. Shout out to Josh Granston, our editor.
Yes.
Yes.
Does a great job. Don't cut this out, Josh.
Thank you.
They really help to polish things
Yeah.
for sure. So it's
Yeah.
like, but if you become too attached to the way that it is, then, you could rob yourself of the potential of being better. You have to be open to those possibilities. So
Different perspectives, and
exactly.
even with visual art, looking at that and taking feedback. Everyone can use a little feedback.
Before we get too far along, we've sort of covered this, but I like to go back
Yeah.
to it because it's kind of a way for you to shout out some people you admire. Who are some of your favorite artists, whether they be local people, famous people, all other? Who are some of your faves?
I'll start with like the famous ones. So I love like Monet.
Oh, yes.
Like that style of painting, I just like love it so much.
Impressionism. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Monet's good. Obviously Van Gogh,
Mm-hmm.
Basquiat.
Mhm.
Love all that. Like just anything that's like thought provoking or just really pretty. I like pretty stuff too. So
It's
Yeah.
good to look at pretty things, right?
yes.
It doesn't have to have an impactful meaning behind it.
Yes.
It's pretty and I like it.
There you go.
Definitely. So local artists. Who you
Local.
jiving with?
And that concludes poetry, everything. Doesn't have to be visual, but it can
Okay.
be.
I really like Betsy's like ceramics. I was thinking about I'm pretty sure I have some stuff from her. I really like her stuff.
That's Betsy Davis, our
Yes.
resident ceramicist. Is that? I don't know. I just
Yeah.
bestowed that.
Yeah,
It may
she's
not
our
be official.
resident ceramicist. She's the ceramics instructor here at Lemon Street in our public clay studio. So,
Hopefully a future guest, if
Yeah,
she will
that'd be
agree
cool.
to.
yes, love to talk with her.
Hope you're listening, Betsy.
We're calling you out. So you like Betsy stuff? Is there?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, so
That's
I was
okay.
like,
No shame.
Jill. She's like
Jill. Yeah.
I
Jill
really-
Z.
Yes, Jill Z. I like her stuff. Have you seen the painting? It was like a cat, and there's a crystal ball, and then like tarot cards. It's like
Yes.
my favorite thing ever.
I
It's
think I know the one you're
so-
talking. It's a bunch of little.
I
yeah.
regret not buying it when I, saw
do
it,
too.
but
It sold at one of her recent pop-up events. Someone snatched it up, and I'm like,
I love that painting so much.
I think she did that for a show in Chicago. That was the feline show that you talked about on her episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
She made that piece for that show, and just wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful, whimsical little piece.
Right. And then also I'll shout out an artist, Ben Mulwana. He's like
Oh, yeah.
he's a great musician. I
is
love
great.
his voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
He's cool.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey, Marvelous Makers.
And art appreciators.
If you like our podcast,
There's a good chance you like figure art as well.
yes, perhaps you were introduced to drawing from the figure when you were in college and have long enjoyed going to community draws.
Or maybe you've always appreciated figure art but didn't have an opportunity to try it yourself, or didn't know where to go or when, or even if you'd be welcome there, or if you'd feel out of place.
Well, if you'd like to be a part of this ancient craft, we have the solution for you.
We happen to have a world-class drawing studio right here in our own community, located within the 16th Street Art Studios, which is housed at the Racine Business Center, 1405 16th Street.
Draw Joseph Studio is the creation of Joseph Vigneri, one of the most prolific life models around.
Yeah, hasn't he posed like almost 1,200 times?
Yes, and he's introduced over 50 model proteges to the craft of life modeling as well.
Wow.
They constantly have new variety of models to draw from. Free weekly figure draws are every Tuesday night from 6 p.m. till 8:30 p.m.
Wait, did you say free?
Yes, tipping the model is encouraged, but there is no fee to draw.
Tuesdays at 6, you said? Every Tuesday?
Yes and yes. Doors are open at 5:30, so come early and get the best spot. Oh, and Draw Joseph Studio also has 2 monthly draws. On the 4th Friday at 6 p.m. is a special long pose, and every second Sunday at 1 p.m. is a portrait session.
So second Sunday and fourth Friday for specials, but every Tuesday night for a regular open session?
Yes, and there's always snacks too.
I love snacks.
Me too.
Draw Joseph's Studio at the Racine Business Center, 1405 16th Street.
Park inside the main gate on the northeast side of the center and go straight into the tunnel. The studio is the very first studio inside the building.
Questions? Go to Draw Joseph Studio Facebook.
And welcome back from that lovely little ad break. So we did talk about this a little bit, kind of with the influence, but what motivates you to write and to create?
What motivates me? I feel like really I just write for myself
That's good.
and then I just put it out there for everyone else. And it's just like, well, if you like it and you connect with it, cool. If not, that's okay too. I just kind of, I mean, I don't know if you guys have like read any of my stuff, but it's very personal.
Mhm.
For me, writing is just very, very like therapeutic. So it's more so for me to just like cope with whatever I'm going through or to just kind of get through life. I just, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me, you know?
Yeah, and that totally shows. You sent us an audio recording. I believe it was from your piece Shoot.
Yes.
And it just showed how you could feel how personal it was, especially having you read it. It was,
Oh, yes.
I'm glad you liked it.
it
And
was
that one
great.
is like so intense. It's like, this is very bold.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know what I mean? And
Yes.
it's kind of unapologetic too. Like I get that. So it's just like, yeah. But I love that piece so much. I'm so proud of that little collection that I put out last year. And that's available for a free download as well. So look out for Shoot by me, Aliyah Jackson.
We'll put links in the description for you, of course.
Yep.
The one poem that says like, if the ocean could talk, it would say, "Wow, I see myself in your heart." I love that one so much because it can mean so much. It can mean like just the depth of your heart, or the just raging sea of your heart. It can take on so many meanings, and I really connected with that one. So I really, really like that one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I love it when poetry, kind of the mood that you're in, it could have like dual meaning, or you can revisit it and be like, I'm feeling like a little more sad today, and it has a different context, and or I'm feeling a little happy and full of love, so then it could have a different meaning there. So love that kind of poetry.
Thanks.
Yeah. And visual art goes the same way. You can have different feelings one day, revisit it, and have kind of have, if I could talk, have kind of different feelings towards paintings. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah, I definitely feel what you're saying, because it's like I could write something and then come back to it a few days later, like, whoa, like I don't like what was I like, what kind of mood was I in when I wrote this? Like clearly I'm not in that mood anymore, but I'm just like, whoa, like
Very deep.
it's even my own eyes seeing something on a different day or on a different time. It's I can see it with different eyes. You know what I mean? So yeah.
It's been fun hearing all the different motivations that people have, and they're all kind of the same, but very different. Like we've had people say like they're motivated by a deadline. They need to be done by Tuesday. And that's what makes them actually go do that. Or people like they're motivated by the community around them. They see other people doing things and they're like, oh, I want to do this. And then there's people that want there to be a great thing. So they need to make that great thing. And yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah.
because I just restate everything you just said.
No.
Yeah, I'm definitely like one of the biggest procrastinators on the
me too.
planet. So
Me
I
too.
kind of have to give myself deadlines, or else it's just gonna be in the air for a long time.
Yes. Yes, deadlines are my best friend as well. Helps keep you on those just on track to meet those small goals to then achieve the big goals. So I think deadlines are very important. And as someone who also creates to kind of vent their emotions and use it as a piece or a way to communicate their emotions, I really agree with your work, and well, not agree with your work because there's not much to agree with, but I appreciate your work because we're kind of, I feel like we're working in the same vein of working with emotions and getting those emotions out there, and just like barfing it up on a paper and just saying, yes, this is how I'm feeling. So I really connect with your work is what I meant to say.
All good.
And we're not saying your work is barf.
No.
Far from it. The opposite.
No.
I mean, it's okay if you think that. Just leave a review if
Yeah,
you do.
tell her. Go on there.
No, but like you just like sometimes you just shoot those feelings out and you're like, yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Take it or
Yeah.
leave it.
Especially when it makes it into the book and it's like,
Oh,
oh, am I putting this out there? Yep, okay.
We're going there.
Yeah.
We're going there. So if you had, if time and money were no limit to you, is there a certain project that you would want to work on?
This is a fun question because we've been having mostly visual artists so far, and it's like a mural or a big sculpture or something. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say for this.
Yeah. It's weird to say this, but like I'm kind of already doing most of the things that I want to do. Like I never even thought I would actually like publish any books. Like that was like a stretch for me because I just never thought that I'd get to that point. So I'm already pretty satisfied. I'm already pretty happy. But if money were not an object, I guess I'd be working on publishing the next collections. I'd be probably working with the best illustrators and the biggest publishing houses and like
leather bound books. I don't know.
I probably do some like national touring with my writing, like maybe doing markets around the country or doing events nationwide, you know, whereas traveling, I could do that if money was no object.
That's a great point.
Do a little tour.
And just do this full time and then like not care if I make money from it or not because I already have a lot of money.
That's a great answer.
That is the dream. To be able to just sit down, make your art and have no monetary consequences.
So that would be amazing if I could just sit there every day and just do stuff that has to do with my writing and
Oh, well, yay. I don't know how this question will apply to poetry and everything, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Have you gotten any funny comments about your work? Like any comments that have stuck out to you?
And it doesn't even have to be funny. It could just be like, I can't believe they said that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I thought about this question when you sent it to me.
Okay.
I had to think because when I just started doing like the vendor markets and the events like in February of this year. And so I haven't had like that many like weird encounters. It's more, it's commonly just like people putting, you know, looking at the book, putting it down and then just walking away. Just like, all right, whatever. Not interested. Like that's pretty typical. You know, but then I thought about, so this happened a few years ago, actually. So this is not recent, but I mentioned that I was a part of like a writer's group and we would like critique each other's work every week and stuff, hold each other accountable, you know, keep up with things, yada, yada. But there was this guy, he's not around anymore, so may he rest in peace. But he was in our group. He eventually left the group for whatever reason, but someone else ran into him like out in public and he told them like why he wasn't in the group anymore. And I guess he had like some grievances or whatever. But and again, this is secondhand. So like I wasn't there when he said it, but they told me that he called my work silly little haikus. And I was like, I thought we were cool. Like, what's going on? I mean, it was kind of like, ooh, that stings a little bit. But like, it's fun. Like, it is funny looking back. But I was like, wow. Like,
it's good that you can
really
look back at, and laugh. But man,
I'm published. I've got a book. They're not silly little haiku.
Right. And he was more of a like, nonfiction, like historical, like did the opinion pieces for papers and stuff. Like he was that kind of writer.
Yeah.
So
you could have said it better.
They have to be little. That's how they are. Those are the rules.
Show me a long haiku right now.
What's a big haiku?
But yeah, that was something like thinking about that question. I'm like, yeah, that was something that was a little like harsh or kind of just like, oh, interesting, you know. He
could have worded it better, just like that's not my preference kind of thing, and not just belittling. But well, I'm glad you can at least look back and take the feedback and know that it's not applicable. Like
or just like, you know, you're free to feel that way, but it's like this is just how I write, you know. It is what it is. So.
How you get your feelings out. Well, that stinks. But also, but it's good to. It also gives you like tough skin going forward too.
Oh yeah.
And improving on that stuff too. So kind of putting your ego aside for a minute and just saying that doesn't matter.
Right. Or when people have said like weird things to me, like at markets lately, like it might bother me for like a few minutes, but I'm just like, oh, whatever. I don't care. I'm having a great time. I'm here like talking about my book, like
Aw.
doing what I love to do. So like it doesn't really get to me for very long, if at all. So
Yeah. And when you
Yeah.
go up to the table, like, did they actually read your stuff or just look at it
they
and go,
flip through it.
eh.
Yeah.
like, come back to me when you've actually read this book.
I'll be here next week. Let me know.
Yes. um, so, speaking of events that you've been doing recently, are there any feelings that and thoughts and feelings that you have about the local art community? Anything that we can improve on? Any ideas?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Not to throw this all on you.
Yeah.
Fix the world. No.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
will
like,
say I haven't been as involved with the art community for a while. So I want to preface it by saying that. But from what I can gather, I feel like in some ways there's a little bit of like pretension or like some people thinking, well, like, oh, like this is what art is. So like all those other people that are doing this certain type of thing, like that's not really as valid. That shouldn't hold space here. And it's just kind of like, we're all just,
Yeah.
here expressing ourselves. And I feel like we kind of talked about this earlier, I think, but it's like, oh, well, that's just pretty. That's not really like thought invoking. That's not, like that's not really art. It's that's just something that looks cool,
Right.
And some people have that opinion. I've heard people say it. I'm just, honestly, I've heard people that are at this gallery say it. I don't know if they're members here anymore, but I've heard people say that. And it's just kind of like, well, what about everyone else that it's just, doing what they feel is right or what's on their heart to make, and to say that they shouldn't take up space or that what they're doing isn't art. Like, I feel like that's kind of mean. So.
Yeah, I don't think we want to discourage anything. I
Yeah.
mean, the more the merrier. And
yes.
it wouldn't be an episode of this podcast if I didn't fit in my second catchphrase: "A rising tide lifts all boats." We're in this together. We're not in competition. It's not like I'm gonna beat you at art or poetry.
Right.
It's so I don't get the throwing stones thing. And if you want to do something, you do it.
And it's like there are certain like people enjoy all kinds of art. Like there's people that enjoy the pretty things or like just like the photography shots and stuff. Like there's people that still buy those things. So
There's space for that. There's space
Exactly.
for the hard hitting stuff too.
All right, and I feel like even as like a poet, I'm sure there's certain like maybe poetry purists that probably think that what I'm doing is like, what the heck is this? This is, silly. Like that guy's silly little haikus.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there are people that would think that about my work, but it's like that's just how I write. So I think that I should be still considered a poet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
you definitely
Definitely,
are.
definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
What we do through our application process here is if like we try to judge not so much on the subject matter, but on because I mean we all have our own preferences, what we personally like, but we try and keep it to technique. So if the skill is there, so we've been really working with that and trying to give critique. And it's never a closed door here, so we give them critique on the process that they did. We try to have like painters look at painters and jewelers look at jewelers because they know the medium. It would make no sense to have a painter look at a jeweler because they don't work in that medium. But seeing the technique, realizing the technique, and giving feedback on that technique, and just saying like, here's what you could do to improve. We have painting classes. We have XYZ to help facilitate you get to a level where you can kind of be here with us.
That's cool.
Because there is Jill and I were actually talking about this the other day of having a standard. Because if anybody comes in here, then there's like, oh, where's the level of craft and fine art? That's the big question of where is that line? So we judge on just technique and how they go about creating, and we love to give feedback, and it's never a closed door.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to judge art because it's,
Yeah.
it's
there's not a
subjective.
right and a wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing math, there's a right and a wrong. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just trying to think of a.
I get it though.
There's things, there's certain competitions, out there where there's a winner and there's a loser, but it's not like that with art,
And I feel like just because maybe an artist isn't a good fit for this gallery, it's like, well, there's a bunch of other galleries
Oh, yeah.
everywhere else. And it's like, that's not to say that you should, like, you're not a good artist, that you shouldn't keep painting or
Oh, no.
something or doing what you're doing because one gallery says no. Like, I'm self-published, for example, and it's like, I'm not with a big publishing house. And I know people that are, but it's like, that doesn't make what I'm doing any less valid because I'm not being
Yes.
acknowledged or backed by a big group. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, going the independent route, there's some power in that too. So
Definitely.
yeah.
And I've heard comments about this gallery. I'm just gonna bring it up because
Yeah,
it's
go
been
ahead.
bothering
Let's
me.
go there.
It's been bothering me this
Yeah,
past
let's get
week.
into it.
Let's get into it. Someone made a comment about just they saw some art and they're just like, it's so sad when you see a crafty piece of art next to a fine piece of art. And I was just like, what do you... I didn't talk to this person, but in my brain, I'm like, there's space for everybody here. I'm sorry that we like to support and uplift people. If you find something more crafty, that's your preference. And I'm the person that curates these walls here and everything. I help arrange things and get things laid out. So, and I try and not group people's work because we're a family here. You're gonna have one piece next to another that's not gonna be perfectly like the same style or anything. It's we're just a big old family mushed together and just showing art, making space for everyone. So that took me back for a second. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. It's awful big of them to think that. I
Yeah.
mean, who are you to say? Everybody's on their own journey.
Yeah.
And
You don't know that person that's hanging on that wall. You don't know their story. Have you looked at their artist statement? Do you know what's going on with them? So I was just like, whoa, okay.
And it's like someone could come in like a few minutes later and be like, oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
So it's just
Exactly.
like, that's just one person's
Exactly.
opinion.
Yes. And I just don't understand when people could take that just narrow pathway kind of view at art. I mean, everyone has their own opinion.
And there's constructive criticism, you
If
can
you have preference for certain things, like, okay, that's fine that you have a preference for certain kinds of art, but that's not to say that you should just kind of downgrade or like belittle everything else.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
don't buy it,
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Where's your gallery? So, but yeah, I heard that the other day and I had to take a second and be like, wow, there's space for people and wow. So,
And to kind of continue on the conversation of like unity, I feel like you guys are doing a better job at this, but I do feel like moving forward, not just Lemon Street, but just Kenosha in general, all the local towns in general, I feel like there should be like more of a unity between like the different forms of art. So it's like painting, the sculpting stuff, but also like musicians, like artists, poets, writers, people who do like, fiction books, all forms of art. Like you said, when we talked a few weeks ago, you mentioned like performance artists and things like that. Like there's so many different kinds of art out there, and I wish that there was a way for all of us to like kind of get together and do some stuff. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I don't know if it was our Chamber of Commerce. They were talking about doing like a collective meeting between all the like arts businesses or things, people in the arts district. They were thinking about doing like a monthly meeting where all the arts can get together and talk and like network or coordinate events together or something. So hopefully that can happen because I feel like that would help out a lot with communication. Communication is key, and I feel like that could be a good platform for that. So hopefully we can get that.
Right.
Right. And I feel like it's probably just like a natural thing for things to just get kind of separated or clicky just based on that's just how it goes, you know what I mean? But I definitely feel like it'd be cool to like kind of erase some of those lines and to have all of us be like, you know what, we're all artists, you know. We're all just out here doing our best, doing our thing,
Yeah, definitely.
support each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got stuff like the art market that's
Yeah, I'm excited
Kind
about
of bridging
that.
gaps
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like I see you guys starting to move in that direction of trying to bring all of those different forms of art together, and I think that that's very cool, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and we can't wait to see you there at a date.
this summer.
Yes,
Yeah.
this
Or
summer.
fall.
There we go.
And we can't wait to see you there, dear listener.
Yes.
Please come out and support your local art community.
Definitely. We will have some live music. We will have some visual artists there. We're planning to have some literary artists there as well. We're going to have like a little author's corner. And I think the Tea Scouts will be back again. So
Gotta
that'll
love the
be
Tea
fun.
Scouts.
Yes, definitely.
Third Sunday of every month, Union Park. I don't know the address. Google Union Park. No, sure.
It's right off of 7th Street.
Yeah.
So
10 to 2.
I think it's
Is it 9 to 2?
4,500.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to
Oh, no, sorry. I'm thinking about the address.
I'm thinking of the hours.
It is from 10 to 2 p.m.
Okay,
Yes. So, yeah. Wonderful conversation about what we can do better. And I think we're getting there. We're kind of recovering from COVID, and everyone's getting their footing. Kind of seeing what's left after that, and trying to get some stability from that. But I do see people trying to reach out more, do more partnerships and stuff. So it's really good to see. And I'm really, really excited for the future because
Yeah.
I see it happening slowly. So, well, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything
Yeah,
you
what
want to
did
say?
we forget to ask you?
Yeah.
Or nothing,
Yeah,
maybe.
did you forget to ask me anything?
No,
I
I
checked all my questions off. So.
Oh, well, good. So where can we find you and follow you on social media?
Yep. So I have a Facebook page for my author related things. It's Aliyah Jackson dash author. So if you just type that in, it should come right up. And then I also have an Instagram. I'm Aliyah629, but it's for work too, so I don't post that like strictly book things, but I do post book things there. So yeah, I think my Facebook is probably the best place because it has the link to all of my works that you can purchase online. So probably the Facebook.
And if you want to publish something, publish something. And then purchase Aliyah's books.
There you go. There you go.
She's also at the Blue House Books.
Yes, Planting Gardens on the Moon is available at Blue House Books, and downtown Kenosha is actually also available at Revision, which is right across the way
on Sheridan Road.
So yeah, that happened just a few weeks ago.
Nice.
But yeah, otherwise online, barnesandnoble.com.
Is that where people can leave the comments?
Yes, you can leave the reviews there. Shoot, that is available for free download. Just go to my Facebook page for that. You can go to multiple different platforms. Life in Solitude Quarantine Poems is also there. And also special announcements. I have finished recording the audiobook versions of all of my collections of poetry, so that will be coming pretty soon.
Yay!
So, yeah.
Look for that. And we'll try to include links for as much of that as we can in the episode description and on our social media posts when we put this episode out.
Mm-hmm. We've got you covered with the links.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Shelby does.
And speaking of links, if you want, we would greatly appreciate it if you followed us on Facebook at the ArtSpace Podcast, as well as on Instagram at the ArtSpace Pod. And we're also available on all streaming platforms. We've got Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and our very own YouTube channel. So you can check us out. And we'd also like to give a shout out to the band Would You Kindly, who did our music for us. And I think that about covers all of our links and plugs and
Oh, I guess I got one more.
Oh,
Sneak
okay.
it in
Forgot to
there.
mention.
Yes.
I will be at the Milwaukee Makers Market on July 17th. So come check me out there if you're in Milwaukee, or if you just want to get out of Kenosha for a bit, you know.
Have a little day trip up there.
Come say
Yes.
hello. It should be a good time.
Oh, yay.
Definitely do that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Alrighty. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Depression, addiction, the thrill that you seek. Our restlessness cages the fire we need. We're here to inspire.